You're listening to Traumedy, the podcast that helps you take your pain and play with it. I'm Nancy Norton. I am a stand-up comedian. Yes, I am. And a registered nurse, not practicing currently, nor hope to ever again. And it's for the best. And a keynote speaker. That's what I'm really loving doing the keynote talks these days, the power of humor at nursing conferences, healthcare conferences, all kinds of conferences. This episode today is with a police officer, and it focuses on dark humor. And trigger warning, very graphic conversation here.
It's dark humor.
And I love dark humor.
Yeah, because you've experienced something, maybe not that kind of trauma where it was that scene, that episode.
But other
things just as dark where, I will be honest with you, I can't tell you how many times I've cut up in a back bedroom at somebody's house where somebody has died. It's just me and another first responder, and we're trying to process the scene or investigate what's going on. And we're cutting up. But the reason we're cutting up is this is not a normal function of life. Like nobody goes out and says, hey, let's go find some decomp tonight and see how we can handle that, right?
This is not for the faint at heart. Hey, this is not for people who faint easily or vomit. I don't know. It's just, this is maybe more for first responders or people that have dealt with a lot of trauma, EMTs, all kind, people in the military, anybody that's had to deal with some vicarious trauma. This episode's for you. I got written up in nursing school for inappropriate humor, which I later found out in peer-reviewed studies was being of service, because dark humor gets that vicarious trauma out of your body. And also, while you're on the job, if you're using that dark humor, it helps you actually continue to stay online, because sometimes trauma can throw you into a fight, flight, freeze response. You see stuff that shocks you, and you have to use humor to continue to stay present, and also helps with creative problem solving. It enlivens all the major lobes of your brain. Definitely necessary for first responders. Do not feel ashamed of your dark humor. So you're going to hear a lot of dark humor. Trigger warning, talk about suicide. We talk about death a lot. And then also some victories and why we're doing this. Why do people become first responders? What calls us to be helpers? And the thing that keeps you coming back to work is, helping people, feeling fulfilled and on your life purpose. And I still need to do that. That's why I'm doing Traumedy. I love doing my stand-up shows, sometimes just being silly for silly's sake, but almost every show I do ask, please let this be for the highest good. Let people leave feeling better than when they walked in. I also want to be co-healers with people on this podcast. So thank you. And my guest this week is the reason I'm doing a show down in Dallas and Fort Worth this week is Heroes Off Duty. Our guest is the reason I'm doing those, because he introduced me to the producers of that show. So that's coming up. And then lots of other shows coming up. Moms Unhinged all over the place. Nurses Off the Charts in April in Dallas. And then Nurses Off the Chart for Nurses Week in Colorado Springs and Denver. For those of you who need a little relief from stuff that you've seen, here you go. Enjoy this episode. Welcome to Traumedy. My guest this week is a friend of mine, a comedian, a cop. It's Vinnie Montez, everybody.
Hey,
Vinnie Montez.
What's up, Nancy Norton?
I can't reach the button, so I just do this.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here with you.
Man, you've come so far so fast. Seems like just the other day we were sitting at that Nepalese restaurant. You were taking me to lunch to pick my brain about comedy. Yeah. And next thing I know, you're headlining clubs all over the country.
Wow, thank you so much. Yeah,
Slow down. You're going too fast.
That was like, what, 15, 17 years ago? I started in comedy in 2007 at Comedy Works New Talent.
Wow, has it been that
June of 2007?
Time flies.
I know. We've known each other. That's why I was saying we've known each other for like 18 years almost.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's 2 decades almost.
I can't believe that. We're doing a show that you hooked me up with, Heroes Off Duty.
Yes.
Coming up this week. We're doing that in Dallas and Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah, the day after tomorrow.
At Hyenas Comedy Club.
Yeah, have you ever done that club?
In the 90s.
Oh, really?
Dude.
So I did it, I think it was like 2018, 2019. I was there with Trailer Trash Tammy. We actually did all the Hyenas clubs. There used to be one in Plano, Texas, too, and we did the one in Plano. Dallas, Fort Worth, and so yeah, all three. And we did. It was Trailer Trash Tammy, myself, Libby Higgins, and I think maybe one other. But it was so much fun. Yeah, those are all sold out shows because she's a big deal and I'm not.
She has a huge following.
Huge.
So what's she doing now? Trailer Park Tammy. She's still doing the circuit?
Trailer Trash Tammy.
Oh, excuse me. Trailer Trash Tammy. Alliteration.
Yeah. She's doing, well, she is doing a lot of big clubs and or theaters.
So she's still
she's still doing a lot of crazy stuff.
And
she does a lot of stuff online too. I haven't probably seen her in over a year. I met her through another friend, and the next thing you know, we're doing a show at Texas Motor Speedway. It was her first time on doing stand-up. That was 2019, something like that.
So she blew up on social media and had never done stand-up.
Right.
This is a crazy time we're living in.
Yeah.
You know, there's these people blow up on social media, but they don't have, like we have the 45 minutes to an hour or 90 minutes or 2 hours at this point.
She's like a Dave Chappelle, though. Like, she can tell a story like nobody else.
Really?
Yeah, she's really good. Like, I honestly, the first time I did the show with her at Hyenas, like, that was truly her first debut in a club. She was doing great. And the fans were there. She really had people behind her, but it was just, she's got that talent. She's just a raw talent.
And is she kind of Southern too, right?
Yep, she is. Yep.
And there's something about a Southern storyteller that I do amp up my Southern twang a little bit on stage, just because honestly, it's
I've
funny.
heard you amp the Southern
I'm like,
twang
I go
up.
all Ozark sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
And then
I've got a bad story about the Ozarks.
Oh, really?
I went camping in the Ozarks one time. But I was on the ground and I was getting eaten up by chiggers, you know, the little bugs.
They're terrible.
Oh my gosh. And next thing you know.
And they stay under your skin for weeks.
Oh my goodness. I didn't think it was a real thing. I thought everybody was messing with me, and it's a real thing, I guess. Because I had little insect bites everywhere. We were camping out in the Ozarks. It was part of this big group that went camping. A lot of kids at Royal Rangers. I was part of a church group called Royal Rangers back in the day.
Oh man, and you just got chiggers.
And we just got chiggers, and we got ate up. And
there's these oak mites too.
Oh, really?
Like if you sleep under an oak tree.
Well, the whole time I was down there, I thought I was going to die because everybody scared me saying you got to watch out for the water moccasins.
Oh, that's true.
Is it true?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see any
They're poisonous.
Well, apparently you get bit, you're done.
Yeah, the water moccasins, they swim on the top of the water.
Yeah, Vinnie Montez doesn't do any snakes, period. Matter of fact, I've had calls where we had to go get snakes out. Like, rattlers get into people's houses sometimes.
Oh, no.
And they call the sheriff's office and, you know, you show up and you're like, I mean, we have like snake tongs and everything, but I am not an animal specialist.
You have snake tongs?
Yeah, we have snake tongs.
Who knew that was going to be in your job description?
Well, it's not we don't have them. The animal protection officers have snake tongs. And after hours, when I was working nights, we just go send a deputy to the truck. There's multiple trucks around the county that have the equipment, and they have snake tongs in them. We go get them, and you know, and they call us for everything, like raccoons stuck in a.
You should call a hippie like me. I'll do some snake charming.
Oh my God.
I got a bat out of a theater.
Oh,
at a gig. I mean, I literally was like talking to this bat and got it to go out the door, where they were trying to get it with brooms and towels.
Let me tell you, I have a bad story. There was this lady called and her husband called, and they're in their house and they're just sitting there and they hear, and it's the little bat flying around, right? And I get there and the bat's like up on the ceiling and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm freaking out because it's a bat. I don't know. Is it going to suck my blood? Is it going to attack me? And they're like, can you please get this bat out of our house? And I'm like, oh my gosh. So we're chasing it with brooms, trying to get it in one area. And it finally lodged itself on the wall and it was holding on for dear life. And they're very scary. If you've been up close to a bat, their face is very scary. And so I wadded up this newspaper and I got up close and I was very slow and I put it on the wall to scoop it up, and I went outside and I opened it, and there it went. And I didn't know I should have kept it because you actually have to keep the bats. You put a little bit of lighter fluid or brake fluid. You hold it underneath the cup with a bat, and it kills it. And then they go and they test it for rabies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
I know that took a dark turn, didn't it?
That took a really dark turn. And you know me, I'm the animal rights activist.
I know, but you have to know.
I will knock that lighter fluid out of here. Why do you have to test it? Did it bite them? Did it bite
they
anybody?
need to know. That's just a protocol when they capture a bat that they want to test it for rabies.
Bat capture protocol.
But the only way you do it is like you got to test their head or something.
Oh, come on. I mean, if it didn't bite anybody, why do you have to test the bat? I would like to bring this up at the meeting. If next time we go town hall.
Can I tell you this funny story? Okay, we had a very large fire. I'm gonna tell you this because I didn't know you were so animally. Go ahead.
But it's not gonna be long. I can't hear too many sad animal stories. Is it gonna be sad?
I don't think it's going to be
Is
sad.
it going to be a sad animal?
I think I saved lives, actually.
Oh, God.
Okay, so like during this very large fire that we had, I'm going to be nondescript here.
Okay, in Colorado somewhere.
In Colorado somewhere in 2020, in December of 2020. Very large fire. I happen to be night shift commander on duty, and they call me at the communication center, and they're like, hey, we need you to talk to these people. They're starting to get up in arms because, you know, there was hundreds upon hundreds of homes damaged and completely taken down. And they are rallying the troops to go into the fire zone and get out animals. And I'm like right now, and like power lines were still down. Like when houses burn, nails go into the roadway, and it is not, that's the reason we keep people out of there, because it can really cause damage and stuff. But this group of people, like I'm talking 20 or 30 people, we're going to go and break the perimeter and go in there and try to find dogs and cats and gerbils and everything.
I'm with those people.
And so I had to like have I'm not even kidding you. I had to wake people up in the middle of the night. We had this meeting on Zoom, and I had to like talk everybody down from like, you know, going into this area where they couldn't, and people were like fighting it, and we had to explain all the dangers because we didn't want them to get electrocuted or, you know, just the hazards. And finally everybody came to a consensus, and we were able to stop that from happening. But I do think it was awesome that they wanted to go out there and help the animals, but you know, we didn't want their human lives to be compromised for trying to rescue.
It's a toss up for me. I gotta be honest.
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I love animals so much. Like I wish, like the worst thing that ever happened to Earth are people. Like I'm kind of like, can we hurry up, get on that thing to Mars or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't know. But in reality, would I really go into I don't know, man. I don't know if I would go into a fire zone to.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like active fire. You understand what I'm saying? But like, it was just after the fire, and they wanted to go in there and get all the animals that had been displaced. And I'm like,
okay.
I'm like, well, you know, you're going to end up getting gangrene for stepping on a nail, or, you know.
Your priorities were correct.
Well, I just didn't want anybody to get hurt, you know, and then we got to send first responders in to rescue them.
We don't have time. We don't have time to pull nails out of people's feet. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, was there a gnat in here?
I think there was a gnat.
You know, and also,
I got it.
I trap and release gnats. This is how.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
You do? You're just like, you would love my dad. My mom would be like, Rudy, come in here and kill a spider. And my dad would go in, he'd get into a cup, he'd take it outside, and he'd let it go.
I love your dad. And
he's a great man.
I want to let's talk about your childhood. Listen, you went into law enforcement at a very young age.
Yeah, 14.
What?
So as explorer, I was a law enforcement explorer with the agency just in one of the municipalities inside the county that I work in. And then I couldn't join the sheriff's office until I turned 16. And that's like, they had an explorer post too. They still do. So, you know, you're not a police officer, you're a volunteer, you wear a uniform, you don't have any guns or anything like that. You ride along with deputies and you learn about the job. And the really cool part about it is you got mentorship from people that are good people, and you get a true insight of what the job is before you ever do it.
Yeah, make an informed decision.
Yeah.
Like me with the hospital, I started out at 16 working as a hospital messenger of all things, just sifting through the hospital. But I went on every floor. And then at, I think it was almost 18, I became an orthopedic technician. Mm-hmm. There I am in the ER, motorcycle accident comes in, fractured femur.
Yeah.
I've got to help with the Thomas splint and putting up all the orthopedic traction.
Right.
And one time a doctor handed me a drill to drill the wire through this guy's tibia.
Oh, wow.
And I was thinking to myself, like, I was such a rule follower. Like, he told me to do it, and I'm like, okay. And it was a hand crank drill.
Oh, my gosh.
Anyway, but yeah, you see a lot.
That doesn't bother me. You can talk about that stuff. It's not going to hurt me.
No, I know. I was thinking I'm going to play this clip here in a minute about dark humor, because one of the reasons I wanted to have you on Traumedy, well, there are many reasons, but we really need to help people, first responders, part of what we're doing with Heroes Off Duty, but also just in our lives in general as comedians, helping people discharge some of that vicarious trauma.
Yeah.
Because it will eat you up. It'll make you sick. I've been studying therapeutic humor. I mean, it can actually cause illnesses if you don't get that out of your body.
Or cause you to start to do things that create illnesses.
That's right. That's right. There's a cascading coping mechanism around it.
I love the word you used to use, vicarious trauma, because everybody thinks you have to go through that trauma yourself. It can be vicarious through just experiencing other people's emotions that are in a room. For example, our dispatchers, they're never on scene, but they live that trauma.
That's right.
Just like they hear it. And even I think I've traumatized some people telling stories.
Well, yeah, because
you know what I mean?
The theater of the mind, if you know radio and they call it theater of the mind, when you tell a story, sometimes I'm like, was I there? Or did I just see that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And your body experiences it the same, especially if you have empathy, where you're a caregiver, you want to help, you're here to help people.
Yes.
And so you care about them. Although I think the fascinating thing about police officers is you have to toggle between empathy and then shutting that down when the shit goes down.
Yes.
Because you cannot be empathizing with a shooter.
Yeah.
That must be
you have to switch. We call it flipping the switch. Our instructors teach it. It's called flipping the switch. It's, it all started with Columbine, right? So, everybody responded to that call as they did. And, I don't put any fault on the first responders there that went there, but the mentality and the way people were trained then, it was secure and call out, contain and call out. And, some were just on the very beginning of, going in. And, now we train our people that we don't even think twice. The life priorities are very clear. Innocents and civilians, law enforcement, and then the bad guy, right? And, we truly train today where it's called RED, Rapid Emergency Deployment, or active shooter is what people sometimes call it. And we are trained to go through the door and press the threat, eliminate the threat, stop the threat. And if our colleagues go down in the process of that and that shooter is still active, we step over them and we continue to press that threat until it's gone and neutralized. And you really have to talk to yourself. I've had a lot of talks with myself going, these are people I work with, I have relationships with, and yes, I might have to step over one of them and just keep pushing on down the hallway if they go down, or vice versa. They may have to do that with me. And that's a very sobering thought when you sit and think about it. So I don't think a lot of us sit there and dwell on that piece. We just think about what we got to do in the mission.
Yeah, you're just focused on.
And I never thought I was going to have to respond to an active shooter, and I did. A few years ago, and one of the officers locally who I knew and I'd responded on calls with, he was not in our agency, but a very good person. And that was, I didn't actually go into the building. By the time I got there was plenty of law enforcement there, and I had a different role. But, getting that page and getting woken up and responding in, that was the craziest thing ever. And I know a lot of the people that I work with, they're still very sensitive about that because it was a very traumatic thing. And, I found myself that day saying to myself, that we always say, oh, it could never happen here, and of course.
In our bubble. Whatever.
In our bubble. And of course it did. And it was just a very sobering thing. But, I was in a better place in my world of mental health. And had this happened in 2008, 2009, 2010, I probably wouldn't have dealt with it as well as I've dealt with it. I remember so this is probably day 3. So just to digress here for a second, I was put in charge of supervising the city, a jurisdiction that we don't normally deal with. For the next 2 or 3 nights after that took place, we took over the city, the agency I work for, to provide law enforcement services to allow them to put, Eric to rest. And I was sobered by that because I was like, we got to do this for our brothers and sisters. And I kept it all together and inside. And it was like the day after we got done and they took back over the city doing law enforcement. And I was working out with a girl by the name of Candace, who's a trainer for me. And she goes, "You're not well." And I go, "No." And I just remember leaning by a tree and I just broke down. I let it out right in front of her. I would have never done that in 2007, 2009, because I was ashamed for people to know about my mental health struggles. And today here I am in front of you, and I've progressed so much. I'm not ashamed to talk that I go to counseling when I need to. EMDR therapy, I acknowledge that I am not powerless, but I can't just shove all that shit down.
That's right. It's not good for you.
Yeah. I can't shove it all down and try to package it and keep it contained like in a garbage can. I have to let that out. I have to process it. And there's not weakness. And that's the thing I worried about. I thought I was weak and I was not a good person, and that the people I work with wouldn't trust me if I let that out. And so really today, not only am I a stand-up comedian, I'm very proud of that, but I'm also a big advocate for mental health. And, just like you advocate for animals, I advocate for people to take care of their mental health, because that's the one thing, in this world.
And full transparency, obviously I'm not doing this podcast for animals. They cannot hear it. I mean, obviously I want people to this is the whole point of this is to help heal. We are co-healers.
Yes.
That's what I've come to realize. I thought I could help heal other people, but I cannot heal people who do not want to heal. So now I'm recognizing trauma is not necessarily for people who are still in that sense of helplessness. I mean, although we can all dip into that area, but it's for people who are ready to take a little higher perspective and move that energy, integrate it, process it, and maybe even laugh at it sometimes. And that's where I got written up in nursing school for some of my dark humor. And now I have studies to prove that I was being of service.
I mean, we debrief everything now. When we have big incidents, we debrief it. And that is a form of therapy where you're talking about it and you're getting people to process it. Yeah. And the other thing I think you just said is very important is people have to be ready, right? But the piece that goes along with that is sometimes they don't know what's going to help them to get ready. So a story that you share, Nancy, or maybe something that I share about my struggle that they end up relating with because they were struggling with the same thing, thinking, well, maybe I'm weak. But here's this guy, Vinnie Montez, who's been a cop for 27 years now, and who went through all this stuff, who's been through 2 relationships where he was engaged, who has been on that verge of probably committing too much to the bottle and drinking because he was self-coping mechanisms, being in that dark dungeon, but didn't know how to get out of it. And then I end up finding comedy as a way to release it. And people have to find that thing, right? And for me, I had to go to a very dark place in order to find the light. And
yeah, that's right. We sometimes have to, get to the place of where things are unmanageable.
Yes, and unmanageable, where you've lost all the control, and you have to find your way out. But finding your way out for me was through comedy, because my biggest problem, not only dealing with the things that I dealt with as far as experiences that really put me in a bad space, I had created this cocoon around me where all I did was work. My whole identity was surrounded by being a police officer. And you can't have a single identity through your work.
I agree.
Yeah.
Before we go more into, I want to play this clip because I think it's interesting for people to hear an example of something that to some outsiders might feel like that's inappropriate when we know it's absolutely necessary. Yes. And it's really funny to people who have had to see bodies in different states of intactness. Let's just say that. Yeah. I mean, there's everything has its own remedy, and there's kind of a balance for as heinous or as what is the word I'm looking for? As traumatic, the thing you're thinking of is the funnier it can be. It can be
because it's such a unique place to be that most people don't find them in, especially in the nursing field or in the law enforcement field. When you come across decedents, that's the formal name, or somebody that passes away and dies, it's not the normal,
most people
grandma who just passed away, she's 90 years old.
She's got her makeup on in the coffin. No.
Yeah, exactly. This is real life, and what happens to bodies sometimes is a result of real life. Yeah. And finding people in those states, either they've already committed the act, suicide, or whatever it is, or, they got hit by a car, or they came into the trauma room, the emergency room, and they are broken femur, whatever it is, and it's real life. Seeing the body not in the normal form that everybody usually sees bodies in,
right, and
is a very sobering thing when you first see it.
And it's so traumatic. Sometimes it can take your frontal lobe offline, and what humor can do is get you back in the present moment. Yeah, because you can go into fight, flight, freeze response. And I know as a first responder, you get desensitized over time, but there can still be these really extreme cases where you're like,
well, it's the things that resonate with you. So like for me, when I would see it, anything, any of us, especially in the first responder world, kids are the hardest thing I think for us to deal with. Yeah. Because we look at them as these innocents, haven't even had a chance to go at life yet. Yeah. And I mean, I could sit here and regale you with stories that just would make you cry. But the whole point is there's always something that we relate to people with. And this is not a funny thing. This is a true story though, but I am a hypochondriac as I've gotten older, like more and more so. And I think this was predicated on me doing CPR like in 98 or 99 on somebody without a pocket mask. Oh. And I was in training. And so I had to be like 98. And I did mouth to mouth with a guy. And I just I had never talked about this before on stage. And I just did it. I talked about it. And I I really was like, yeah, that really kind of started me down that path for somebody threw up in my mouth and
yeah, that's rough. I know. I was doing a thing on stage the other night. This may be. I'll put some trigger warnings on this episode. But I was doing a mouth to mouth on a woman back, when I was a nurse, a floor nurse, and I worked orthopedic med surg, so we didn't have a lot of codes. But this woman had expired, and they didn't prepare us in nursing school that you're gonna. I was like vomiting at the bed. I was like doing one breath, and then I was looking into her throat, and it was like, I did not want to see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was
it's like
I got
after
the
they
gag.
die, it becomes purge. Yeah, I know.
So anyway, we have to deal with a lot of stuff.
Were you taking care of older people or younger people?
As on med surg, on the ortho, this person was older, but it was all ages because, like I say, orthopedics, we had a lot of unfortunate like motorcycle accidents with femurs.
Oh my gosh.
So we could always tell this time of year, oh, it's the first warm day.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Because people go out on the motorcycles.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, this is a public service announcement. If you don't have to ride a motorcycle, don't, because I'm just telling you, there's no forgiveness. When
I am clapping. You guys, my son sometimes will mention him. I'm like, no. Listen to mama on this one. He's past the age of listening to me, really. Yeah. But still, I'm like, I can tell you cautionary tales.
Oh yeah.
If you don't, you're so exposed. And I have, you can look over. I have like the lazy eye. I try to look twice, but man. Every time I change a lane and every now and then there's a motorcycle, I'm like, damn it.
And now they can ride up the middle, and they scare the shit out of me all the time now.
Oh, it's legal?
Yeah, they can
do the thing down
the middle. Yeah,
they can split the lanes.
They can split the lanes. I hate that.
It doesn't seem like
I want to feel like I accidentally clip one of those guys one of these days. I hope not.
They can go in the middle, but they can't go on the shoulder.
Right.
Okay, not either shoulder, not on the.
No.
None of those. No. Just in the middle. But see, to me, the middle lane should be
so
like
narrow.
That should be like a shoulder.
Yeah.
That's a shoulder for my lane. And also, the other thing that drives me crazy, this is just personal, like I think I'm getting to that Karen age, where those guys that drag race up and down.
Oh, yeah.
I-25. Really and they slow everything down. They get
do
like
that on purpose.
4 across.
Yeah.
Slow us all down. And then ving, ving, ving. And then, and then I'm the one up ahead that they come buzzing past. At 120.
Oh yeah.
And they sound like wasps, like
and if they clip or they drive, oversteer correct, they're gonna be done. Nothing good happens past 80 miles an hour in a car.
I'm not happy with them.
I'm not either.
And I don't know what to do. Like I just want to turn into a little Karen.
I do too.
Call the cops. What are they gonna do? Okay, let's back to traumedy.
First, get off my lawn, you sons of bitches.
I don't have a dash cam, but I will put my cell phone on. Record video.
Record video.
What I was going to ask you. I wanted to ask you about your childhood.
Yeah.
Wait, a lot of times when I'm talking to nurses, I'll ask them, is your mom a nurse or is your dad an alcoholic?
Wow.
what got you into healthcare? What gets people into law enforcement? Now, I can guess because I have a son going into it.
Yeah.
I would say a crazy mom.
Yeah.
That's just that's one story. But what got you to that place where I want to serve my community in this way?
Well, I watched Frank Poncherello from Chips.
Oh, Chips.
And Ponch and John, and that was kind of like I idolized Ponch because he was a Latino and I'm Mexican and I grew up in a traditional Mexican family. So I thought that was cool. And if you remember the Chips episodes, they were always very appropriate for families to watch, and they actually never took out their guns. Like if you go back and watch the episodes, I never remember them taking out their guns. They were always talking to people, and there was like always a moral to the story. I truly found that interesting, and I was like, well, maybe I could do that. And I thought it was that Chips theme song would always come on, and my mom would hate it because I go running around the house like a chick with my head cut off, just like, Mom, yelling and everything. And I really enjoyed watching that. And then I found out about the Explorer program, and I was like, I'm going to join that. And from then on, I was just idolizing, and the mentors that I have were all these law enforcement people, men and women.
So no one in your family was in law enforcement.
And my dad was a really good, I think he would have been a great cop. I don't think he'd ever want to do it, but my dad had the gift of gab, and he could talk to, I lost my dad right when I became a police officer to cancer, but
I'm sorry.
He was an amazing person. Like, people always felt very warm around him. And I feel like in all the things I've ever been able to do in my career, whether comedy professionally or in law enforcement, it's been really because it comes from him being able to talk to anybody. And, as comedians, our number one thing is just to relate to people. and relate to the crowd. And if we can do that and get them on our side, then, you know, you've already won the battle. And, you know, I just remember my dad doing a bunch of funny stuff. Like one day we were going by 19th and Pearl, and there used to be this thing called Bowler Distribution that was there, and they sell candy and all this like stuff. And they got big boxes and they distribute to the local areas. This is before big box stores. So this has got to be in the late 80s. We stopped by and this guy who was the umpire for my Little League Baseball owned that place. And he tells my dad, he's like, "Hey, Rudy, you know, I got these pistachio boxes. I got a whole pallet, like 50 boxes on this pallet." And he's like, "You know, I'll give you a good deal." And he's like, "Well, how much do you want from him?" And that was I don't even remember what the number was, like $1,500 he wanted for the pallet. My dad's like, "I don't have it." My dad's always carry cash on you, always carry cash on you. I'm like, all right. So he offers,
because you never know when there's going to be a deal.
Yeah. And so my dad offers him like $500. And the guy thinks about it. He's like, "You're robbing me, Rudy, but I got to may have room." So he sells it. My dad buys $500 worth of pistachios, probably like, you know, 50 bags and 50 boxes, whatever. And these are 3-pound bags of pistachios. Now we're loading them up in the van, taking them up to the house. And I'm like, my dad's crazy. He just gave away $500. But that weekend, he's like, "Hey, load up the van, be ready to go." My mom woke us up like at 4 a.m. They have the newspaper by 5. They're circling all the yard sales. We show up to the yard sales. He opens up the back of the van. He's like, "Hey, give me one of those bags." And he opens it. He starts eating. I'm like, "Oh, great. My dad's eating all the profits now." And he's wandering around the yard sale. And he goes up to the people that are running it. And they start saying, "Hey, those pistachios there?" And he's like, "Yeah." "Oh, man, those look good." My dad's like, "Well, here's a bag. Here you go. Take it. Enjoy. You know, you're going to be here all day." And people are there watching, and they're like, "Well, that's cool. Where'd you get those pistachios?" And my dad's like, "Hey, come on down to my van." He opened up the back. He's like, 1 for 3, 2 for 5. He's got me and my brother, you know, passing him the amount of bags that people need. And the people who were running the yard sale, they can't say anything because he's already greased the wheel. You know what I mean?
Right.
So my dad was a hustler, but he also knew how to treat people.
Yeah. It was respect.
Yeah. And so then after we got done with that, later that night that we weren't done, we went to a Mexican wedding, and there's people, you know, 100 people at a Mexican wedding, 200, all drinking beer. And what better goes along with beer is pistachios. So he's got my brother and I with little satchels and stuff going out selling, you know, and nobody's saying anything. And we're just 1 for 3, 2 for 5. And a couple weekends go by and we've sold all the boxes, and he's like, you know, quintupled his money.
Fed your family on pistachio money.
Pistachio money,
on
man.
an opportunity. Mm-hmm. He took an opportunity. You know, you have been that way with your comedy, you know, finding opportunities, creating opportunities, producing. You started really early producing shows, and you're hustling out there.
Yeah.
And you're working still full time. Are you full time?
Yeah, full time still, yeah.
Wow. And doing shows.
I had to step down as commander because it was just too much because of all the shows and stuff.
Yeah.
And now I have more of a civilian role. I'm still a police officer, but this role is a lot more ancillary. I'm not the guy making the decisions anymore.
Okay.
I'm just the guy, you know, promoting and amplifying the message is what I'm doing now.
Okay.
So I'm in the PIO role, public information role. So it's a much safer job.
Yeah. And it, you know, because you could have adrenal fatigue, because there's a lot of adrenaline. We hit the stage.
Oh, yeah.
I have been aware. I'm in a recovery program for adult children. And one of the things is we became addicted to excitement.
Oh, for
and
sure.
So, and while I don't want to jump out of an airplane or anything, I don't like to do physical risk, but I will do an emotional trust fall. I love getting on stage, and I used to do this more in the past. I don't know why. I don't do it as much anymore, but I used to always try and dig a hole that I had to get out of.
Yeah.
I would say something that I knew was not very popular, and then I would have to try and get out of it and get them to like me again.
Right.
I know there's a little sickness in that, but there's something about that adrenaline, the excitement, and it's like rock climbing. It's like you're in the present moment. Mm-hmm. There's nothing like it. And then sharing a laugh with a group of people is such a high.
That's so funny. I used to do the same thing. Like I would start off a contact sometimes being a little spicy.
Yeah.
And then they'd be
alienate them.
And then I was able to, but I was always able to bring them back. And then by the time we left the contact, they're like, "I love that guy." You know what I mean? And I just think sometimes we do that as like challenge to ourselves. And
yeah, I don't know if it was self-fulfilling because I was the scapegoat in my family. I'm like, this feels like home, you know, like people should hate me for a little while, and then I'll try and dance a little dance and win them back. But I don't need to do that anymore as much. I really am on a mission to try and be of service. And I always I would say it's a prayer. It's I state an intention. Let them leave feeling better than when they walked in.
Yes.
That is my little prayer behind the curtain.
Yeah.
And it tends to go really well, especially if I turn it over. I do believe in a higher power. I turn it over to higher power. I like, use me. Let's see what wants to happen tonight.
Right.
And also 30 years of skills. You have, how many, did you say 17?
17.
That's so cool. I'm looking forward to
June will be 18, which is crazy.
I'm looking forward to these shows. And what I really love about doing shows for first responders is you cannot
offend.
No. In fact, let's play this. Let's play this bit here. I was scrolling through a few of your clips, and then when I found this one, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the one that we need to play for Traumedy, because I think you even labeled it dark humor.
Yeah, dark humor.
Yeah, just so it's in it. By the way, trigger warning: this deals with suicide and a graphic description. So if you need to, I don't know. I'll tell you. I'll tell you when I re-edit this. How many seconds this is to fast forward if people need to fast forward. Okay, this clip is 57 seconds. So I think if you want to skip forward 1 minute, you will skip the bit. It is hilarious, but it is graphic.
We had a guy go up to a mountain area where I work. He got out of his car and he moved to the passenger seat. And he took out a double-barrel shotgun and he put it to his chin and pulled the trigger. Nothing from here up was left. We called the on-call detective, and he got there and he started rooting around the guy's pockets, and he found his wallet. And he opened up the wallet, he looked inside, and he found the driver's license. And he was standing on the other side of the car from me, and he looked at the license, and he looked at me, and he looked at the license, and he looked at me, and then he took his thumb and he put it over the head, held it up and said, "Do you think this is our guy right here?"
Pretty dark.
I'm like, "Bro, I don't know that I agree. And he's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Bro, it says he has green eyes. To me, it's clear he has blue eyes. One blue that way and one blue the other way."
And they went with
this.
This looks like it's at Comedy Works in Denver.
Comedy Works, yeah.
This is not a specialty show, is it?
No, I think I was headlining that night, so they
know it's
they were coming to see me. I hope.
So it was you were billed as the
headliner.
The police officer comedian.
Yes.
So they knew, because they are right there with you. Because I was thinking, have you done that in front of a general audience?
Yes.
Did they pull back and groan?
Like once.
Okay.
And it was with John Novosad, and it was at an open mic in Denver with a bunch of hipsters.
Our buddy John, he's on like episode 3 or 4. Go back and listen to John's episode.
Yeah.
But so John,
great dude.
Hilarious comedian.
Hilarious dude.
But wait, you were opening for John?
No. Him and I were hitting the open mic scene in Denver.
Okay.
And we were just hanging out one night. We you just drop in every now and then to an open mic, right?
Yeah, sure.
I still do.
It's good to do. Work on new material.
And we go in, and I can't remember where it was in downtown Denver, but we're there. He goes up and does his set. I go up there. It was probably one of the first few times I told the story on stage, because I was just kind of like, vetting it. And I went up there and I told the first punchline, and God, every kid in that room, because they were very young, were just looking at me. All you could hear was the guy in the back washing the dishes. and people were just like, the vibe was like, get off the stage and don't ever come back. And But open mics aren't a good test to me. No,
sometimes.
They're not. But that was a little bit more than just a test. That was like, I felt like they thought I was trying to go too far. And the real reason is they couldn't relate to it. And none of those people could relate to it.
They did not need to discharge that because they had not seen somebody in such a state.
They had no reference. That's what makes things funny, right?
Right. And I mean, not that I have not seen anyone in that situation, but I've seen enough to where it made me laugh really hard.
It's dark humor.
And I love dark humor.
Yeah, because you've experienced something, maybe not that kind of trauma where it was that scene, that episode.
But other
things just as dark where, I will be honest with you, I can't tell you how many times I've cut up in a back bedroom at somebody's house where somebody has died. It's just me and another first responder, and we're trying to process the scene or investigate what's going on. And we're cutting up. But the reason we're cutting up is this is not a normal function of life. Like nobody goes out and says, hey, let's go find some decomp tonight and see how we can handle that, right?
Yeah.
And if you haven't really dealt with decomp, this might be a little more triggering. Decomp or decomp smell.
The smell.
It lingers with you for a while. You can't get it out.
I had an EMT at a show in Fort Collins who his first dead body was
DB.
He was brand new EMT, somebody down by the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
He went down. He said the guy was clearly deceased inside of his car, but he had to get the coroner to somehow give him permission to open the car door. But the guy had a kink, like we're trying out to do kink shaming with the sexual community.
He had a kink? What is a kink?
Well, a kink is like somebody likes to be tied up and spanked. That's a kink. Or somebody that likes to put things up their urethra. There's people now.
I got yelled at by some woman one time. We were searching. I hate to digress. we were searching her, and she had these balls in her pocket. And
is that what you're calling it? A pocket? I know what you mean.
She had them in her actual pocket, and we're searching her. And
oh no!
And I'm like, "What are these?" And she said, "These are my Benoit balls." And I was like, I'm like,
"Who's he?"
I'm like, "What?" Yeah, I was like, "Who the hell? What's that?" And I was being honest because I didn't know what that was.
You are naive, aren't
and
you?
I'm like 20. God, this had to be like at least like somewhere between 2001 and 2004.
Yeah.
And I'm being honest, I didn't know what Benoit balls were, and she like filed a complaint against me.
And isn't that wow? Because you didn't know.
No, but she thought I was mocking her, and I truly.
What are these?
I truly couldn't. And had I known,
had you known, you would have been like.
And there were a lot of them.
You would have been. Wow, that's impressive, and that's I guess a skill that women work on in their their control of certain body part. I mean, their vagina. Like I can almost say vagina.
Vagina.
I still have trouble saying it.
Let's all say it together. Vagina. Did you ever see that movie, Varsity Blues? I guess.
No, you sounded like Gomer Pyle.
No, she comes out. She's like, everybody. She's teaching a sex ed class. She's like, everybody, don't be ashamed of your sexuality. Let's all say this together. Vagina, vagina, vagina. Penis, 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 and everybody's just like, and then she's like, let's disregard some of the nomenclature, and like this kid names out like 45 different names for wood. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I was like, Jesus.
I remember when we first took health class in like 6th grade, and one of my neighborhood friends was walking along beside me, and they took the boys to one room and the girls to another room, and I really was the most naive tomboy, still kind of am. And not really comfortable talking about my vagina. But I was walking down and I remember him coming up beside me and goes, I bet you didn't even know you had a vagina.
Oh, wow.
And he wasn't wrong. And then I thought it was, I knew I had a vagina. I called it a vagina. I was like, okay. Anywho, again, digress. But this kid, anyway, one of the comments he had was that, but this guy was watching porn on his laptop in his car down by the railroad tracks, and had somehow wired his testicles to his cigarette lighter, with a wire. Like somehow that made it better.
I've seen it.
No way.
I am not even kidding. Not in a car,
but it must be a thing.
I have been on a scene where a guy,
I guess it's
of all things, he attached the wiring from his microwave to his balls.
Wow.
And he died.
This guy did too.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, no motorcycle. Listen to us. Yes. Cautionary tale.
And autoerotic asphyxiation. I have learned more about sex. I have learned about. I've learned.
We can't even say it. Asphyxiation. No, asphyxiation.
Asphyxiation.
There it is. Autoerotica.
I have learned more about kink and sex in law enforcement working it than I have ever experienced in my personal life.
And some unfortunate, shoot, they did not mean to.
Yeah. They
end
didn't
their
mean
life.
to, and then they're done.
They took it too far.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, I hope that people can.
People are listening going, this is the most morbid. It seems that way, but I feel very comfortable talking with you because you've been there.
But this is it.
Yeah.
I mean, this might not be this might not be a good recruitment podcast,
but it's real.
But it's real,
and people know what they're
and
getting
people
into.
need help. And then you go to the house, and they're like, "We haven't seen Joe in a while." Well, Joe wired his balls to the microwave 3 days ago. That's why his mail's piling up. And so people are like, that's the call you get, right? Oh,
it's true. Their mail is
there's
piled
a bunch
up,
of newspapers on the front yard.
We haven't seen Mildred in 6 weeks, and we're not sure.
Oh, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That's too long, Mildred.
Well, sometimes when they don't have kids and nobody's checking in on them, they're like shut-ins. They don't go out.
Maybe I'll put a thing like, this might just be for first responders because, but seriously, here's a tip from old Nance, because there's certain wounds that have Pseudomonas, any anaerobic bacteria stinks so bad. It's like the gut bacteria.
Yeah. Well, that's where the decomp starts.
Right? So you smell that. I mean, and that's just a little wound. When you get the whole person and they're in a puddle of fluid.
So
all I'm going to say is what we do as nurses.
Let me tell you.
I want to hear your hint.
Go ahead.
But I'm going to say a nurse's one.
For it.
But this is just for one wound. We do the mentholatum.
Or a little Vicks.
Vicks vapor rub, mentholatum, put on a mask, breathe through your mouth.
Yes.
All right, what's your tip?
So I don't have a tip.
Oh.
I was just going to tell you when we were just talking about smells. So
you got to throw those clothes away.
I think I was either just about to get out of training or just out of training, and we get sent to this house. And we already had officers there, and I show up. I'm the new guy, so I need to go in and take pictures. This guy is on the second floor of this house. His family had left for a week. He died soon after they were gone, and he was sleeping upstairs in the bed where he died. And it had to have been 85 degrees in that house. Now, heat, the thing about people should know, dead bodies and heat do not mix. I have been in a house where people are on the cement floor or it's very cool and they've been down for a while and they look like they just went away yesterday.
That's why we have refrigerators in the morgue.
And heat does not. So we walk into this room. This dude looks like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man first. He's completely turned from white to black.
Gaseous.
Yep, he is gaseous. And they have fans all over going on in the house. And my job is to take pictures with a 35 millimeter camera before we touch anything. And I just happened to go around to the side and catch the angle of the fan, which blew decomp right into my nostrils.
Oh, no.
I started dry heaving and I ran for the door. I threw my camera to the other deputy, Randy.
Take it, Randy.
I ran outside and I'm out there. And I didn't have anything in my stomach. And gosh, I will never forget that.
No, you cannot.
He soaked all the way through the mattress into the mattress box.
It probably all the way down to the carpet.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it's...
You got a double bag, though.
Oh, God.
See, we...
yellow and blue make green. You know, oh, man. And then, I mean, that's another story I get at Nurses Off the Charts is about putting people in body bags. There were... Like, make sure that you don't, you make sure you lay the bed flat if they die. Cause if their head of the bed is up, then you try to get that angled body.
I know, but the coroners, the coroner investigators, they break the rigor.
Oh, I know.
And it stresses me out because I'm like, you're hurting them, but they're dead.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But it's got to be done.
And putting somebody in the bag, I'm like, otherwise they're not going to be able to breathe.
You can't zip. Yeah, you're going to be able to breathe. Well, I know everything. And that's where you got to use humor. Because it is like, there's something surreal about death in general. Because here's somebody's here, then they're not. And it's like, wait, but that's a human, but that's not anymore. That's just an inanimate thing.
Right.
And that's the weirdest.
I always think they're going to come back to life and come at me.
And they do. Sometimes.
No, they don't.
No.
Don't say that, Nancy. You're like that has been one of my biggest fears. Is like I was in. So no joking. Okay.
So
I can't tell you how many scenes I've been on in my career where I'm standing there because. Like the person's died, right? And you're there, and like they're always the other officers usually try and take the family somewhere else in the house because you can't let them disturb the scene. And and when you're the new guy, you always get the shitty jobs. Oh, yeah. And you're sitting there, and it's a dead guy or dead girl and whatever, and you're just like
dead non-binary person.
What happens if they just? That's funny. You should tell that joke. And
okay, wait.
What happens if they just all of a sudden sit up and they're like, "Hey," and I'm like, I'd probably shoot them. I'd shoot myself and I'd shoot them. I gotta tell you, they came back to life. They were already pronounced.
Well, I mean, nurses have stories like that where, and sometimes there's some weird reflexes that happen, and it is, and and then people do sometimes seem dead. And one of my favorite videos,
heroin people, anybody with severe narcotics, they can appear dead and they'll come right back to life.
Give them that Narcan.
Oh yeah.
Well, this is okay. Listen, the point of this is like this story that we played.
Yeah.
Those things actually were said, right?
Yes.
You did not make that up.
No.
That actually happened
because the discourse between me and the detective.
Because that happened organically because you needed it. I mean, because obviously there's a part of you completely horrified.
Yeah.
There's a part of your midbrain that cannot process, and you have to continue to do your job. And what humor allows you to do is like, okay, I'm going to titrate how much of this I'm going to let in.
Yeah.
And so if you do a joke about it, it makes it a cartoon and just sort of like, I always talk about cartooning our pain or other people's. And again, if that family member were right there, you wouldn't do that.
No, of course not.
Because it's not about trying to disrespect or hurt anybody. It's about helping yourself.
Yes,
and the same with these like corpses and smelling these smells. And that kid that was at the show down there in Fort Collins, whatever, he said, I cannot get that smell out of my consciousness.
No.
And then I've talked to other people. I think it was Von Sprecken. He's a new comedian who used to be an EMT. I'm trying to think who it was. But that have had to just get rid of clothes.
Oh, sure.
And I mean, it's just certain smells you can't get out of stuff.
Yeah, it gets in your nose, it gets in your clothes.
It's so
and for days you'll still be able to like, and I truly think it's partly mental too, where like you've smelled it so much, and I hate to say this, but dead bodies always run in series. Like you go without dead bodies for a while and then everybody's dying, and people always die naked. Why? I don't know. I'm serious. They always die in the most compromising naked positions ever.
Oh man, it's just you.
Oh,
and
I'm getting an upset stomach right now.
I'm
just thinking
sorry.
about
Okay,
one.
all right. Well,
oh no, I mean I'm fine, but I'm just like you would never ever. Let me just be clear. We would never ever cut up like this in front of the public or in that eye. But behind the scenes, but it's real talk.
And that's and that is the real talk. And that's what like I said, got written up for it. And now I know, and there are peer-reviewed studies that document this is necessary because you saw that. And you can't be alone with that. You got to talk about it. No. Because if you are, you can't. It's not good for you.
I would never have admitted before. I don't think I've ever said it publicly. Maybe somewhere to my friends, but I would never say that I was afraid of being with dead bodies. I was freaking out. I thought they were coming back to life, And I think it was.
Is that part of your culture? What is that? Is that from your Mexican heritage or Day of the Dead?
I don't know. I've always not liked dead bodies. Like, I don't know what it is. I hated going to funerals.
I don't. You know what? I think that's pretty normal. I don't think you have to say. I don't know what it is. I think it's absolutely normal because it's such a surreal freak out to see a dead body. I remember what.
So we're gonna go the other way for just 1 second. So I've had that experience, right? And you've been on the scene where you've seen, or you've had that where the dead bodies there, especially these real surreal ones where like you can't believe what you're looking at. And for me, I've looked at the body and I'm like, it doesn't even seem like it's real. It seems like I'm in, like you said, a cartoon. But to me, it seems like I'm having that moment. Like I have that conversation with myself. Am I really seeing this right now? Am I really here? Am I truly experiencing this?
Before we leave, I know we've done a lot of traumedy, which is really good.
A lot of traumedy.
But before we leave, I wanted to ask you, because what I do with the nurses show, because I just don't want people thinking this is all irreverent. We care. We absolutely, in fact, humor is a sign of caring. But the thing that called you into service, like you saw CHIPS, you saw that they were helping people, they helped people. Mm-hmm. And I think most police officers want to help people. There's a few obviously that have issues or not what I don't know what you call those guys that are not
bad guys.
Bad guys.
Bad people.
Yeah. But maybe a couple of victory stories. Like, is there a time like where you're like, this is why I do this?
The ones that come to the top of my mind right away were, I was a detective and I got called in because I speak Spanish, and there was a shaken baby case where when I got to the department, the baby was at Children's Hospital with a brain bleed.
Oh no.
And I was able to relate to this person that I had to go in and interview and interrogate. And, like I said, I learned those skill sets of relating to people. And when you're doing interrogation, it's getting people to trust you and to feel comfortable in order to share their story about what happened. And I was able to break this lady down piece by piece and get a confession out of her and the conviction, on behalf of the little baby. And we still have a poster.
You got justice for the baby.
Yeah. The family made us a handmade kids poster. The family members made this poster like on, that heavy paper the kids like to put
construction paper.
Construction paper, yeah.
Yeah.
So construction paper and some stuff and a couple pictures of the baby. And that still hangs at our office, and one of the guys that I worked with in his office today. And that's always a reminder when I go in there that was a victory where we were able to get that person, and also that baby was able to survive, but we were able to, prevent that from happening, hopefully again.
Yeah.
And that person victimizing somebody else, because shaken baby is a real thing.
Yeah.
And, some of the other things where
I'm sure there's lots where you prevented.
Yeah. Like I've arrested people that were absolutely filthy drunk, like can't even sit up in a car drunk. And they're operating a 2,000, 4,000, 6,000 pound machine. And I got them stopped and I took them off the street that night. And that happened hundreds of times over the course of my career. And I don't know, we'll never know what I prevented.
Right.
But I felt like each one of those was a win.
Yep.
And I think the last thing is with kids, you don't know, when I worked in narcotics, we would go in and HHS would come in and, help take care of the kids, and we would help pull kids out of bad situations where their families were involved in some heavy narcotic trafficking, or just the kid was in a bad abusive relationship as far as like maybe dad or mom wasn't being good to them, and there's domestic violence in the house, and you're able to finally get one of the parents arrested who's the abuser and take them out of the house, and hopefully get the intervention where the courts can now start getting some of those people in there to intervene and intercede, and that kid might get the one time they get a chance to get out. And I think probably the biggest thing though is just being there for people when they're absolutely at their worst. And sometimes the hardest part for me, I don't like to be alone. I'll be vulnerable for a second. I don't like to be alone. I like to be around people. I'm energized by being around people.
Yeah, you're an extrovert.
I'm an extrovert. I love it. I can't, but I when I'm alone, I'm left to my own thoughts. And they're very scary sometimes because I delve into all the things that could possibly happen to me. Am I dying? All these things.
It's the blessing and the curse of the creative mind.
Yes.
Because you can come
and my
up
mind
with...
doesn't turn off sometimes. It's hard to go to sleep sometimes. So for me is like when people are at their worst and just listening to them and making them feel like they're still valuable, because they are. And, people, when they're at their worst, having somebody willing to hear them out, you don't know how you impacted that person and what actually changed for them, or if you were there to take them out of a situation and help them get help, maybe sometimes not because they wanted to go get the help, but just to create that temporary block that they didn't take the next step.
Yeah, for like a wellness check.
Yeah, wellness check or a welfare check where they were really, had we left them alone to their own devices to continue to drink versus, we took them on an M1 hold and they went into the hospital and they were able to get sober and get a little more clarity before making that next decision, because, alcohol and drugs tend to push those things to different, heights.
And unfortunately, and people get distorted. And depression is such a, tricks the mind and thinking that it's always going to be like this.
Yep.
So that's a lot of good deeds out there. And to keep you doing that, you've got to use dark humor. That's what I'm saying.
You do.
So again, I know this might have been a little much for the average listener, but I hope that it helped a first responder who might tune in, but also just know that we're not trying to hurt anyone. We're not trying to be disrespectful. We're trying to stay the course. It gives you resilience. And I want to thank you, Vinnie Montez. If you guys want to find Vinnie Montez, his website is vinniemontez.com.
All my handles, everything is vinniemontez.com, VINNIE. Montez.
Okay, VINNIE Montez.com. And then I noticed that all your socials are there.
Everything is the same name for everything. The handle is all the same. Yep.
That's good. That's good. And we're going to be in Dallas and Fort Worth this week.
Yes.
Man, 2 days.
2 days. I know. We got to wake up tomorrow.
And then we'll probably be sharing some of these stories. Who knows? We don't know who knows what we're going to do.
Who knows?
But thank you, Vinnie, for just dropping in. Right. He worked today all day and then came in, did this interview, and then going to get up early in the morning.
Thank you so much for having me, Nancy.
Thank you. I want to thank my guest, Vinnie Montez. Reach out to Vinnie Montez website. I will put a link to his website in the show notes. Vinnie Montez, VINNIEMONTEZ.com. And reach out to me, NancyNorton.tv, NancyNorton.tv, like television. Let me know how I can help you. If you want to be a guest on Traumedy, I would welcome it. Please let me know if you've taken your pain and you've played with it. Talk about something that you've used comedy to help you get through it, or another creative outlet. We have poets on here. We've had artists on here. We have comedians and authors who have written books to express their trauma and tap into their post-traumatic gifts. So let me know if you want to be a guest on Traumedy. Love to have you. I want to thank my son, Nathaniel Norton, for creating this music loop. And thank you, the listener, for being a co-healer on this journey. It's so good to know you're out there. We try to upload an episode every Tuesday. It's Traumedy Tuesdays. No matter what, keep laughing.